first thing I would suggest that you carry a notebook, and I always carry my notebook no matter where I go. Always you just write down all of the master thing. Oh, look, I'm actually quite honoured with this one I've got here. Saw it for a second. I got Richard Bandler to sign my book after I took his notes, but here you go. But apparently he's quite paranoid because a lot of people have ripped him off in the past. He won't sign a blank bit of paper. He only wanted to sign over my notes because that way I couldn't take and replicate his signature. But anyway, the moral of that story was not so much about how paranoid he was, but rather the importance of making sure that you always carry a notebook just to get it out of your head. Stuff floats around, you'll always have these ideas pop up into your head. If you, it's almost like your brain's this vacuum, and it can only hold so much though. And if it's full, nothing new will get in there. So you need to use your notebook to get all of your ideas out onto a notebook, and that creates space, and then new ideas will flood into it. So you should be carrying a notebook with you wherever you go just to get it out of your head. The next thing, using calendars the right way. A lot of people use calendars for being to-do lists. The way that you should use a calendar, and I use Google Calendar, and it is a fantastic tool if you don't use it. I'll show you what it looks like. Just go in here. I always log in through Gmail because it's got the links up the top. Now Google Calendar, hopefully I've got nothing too controversial in here. I'll flip it to month. So here, well, there we go, SEO workshop. See, I didn't plan much the day before because I was just doing notes. But you can actually set up different calendars for different things. So green is my own personal stuff. Red is for work. I've even got a birthdays one as well. Doesn't look like... Oh yeah, there's a couple of birthdays. That was Melissa's birthday earlier in the month. And a few things like that. And you can even have team member calendars as well. I know when different team members are coming into the office. And the way that you should be using your calendar, and the good thing about the calendar as well, when you use Google Calendar, is you can access it on your iPhone. So, I've always got that calendar on me. But you need to enter in, rather than to-do tasks, you should be entering in only appointments. That's what a calendar is for. A calendar is for entering in appointments. Here's what I have. Here's an appointment that I have at a later date, and you only enter in those. You need to create a separate to-do list for all of the different things that you do. Otherwise, you'll find you don't get to your to-do list and you're constantly dragging things over, and if you've got a written diary as well, you're constantly just moving things and rewriting them. That's not what a diary is for. A diary is for things that are on a certain day. And then you can create to-do lists, which I keep separately, and I have used, I haven't had as much success with it as I first did, was Remember the Milk, and that's a cool little tool for you creating to-do lists. And the way that David Allen talks about using them is you make them area-specific or person-specific. So I have a list of to-dos when I'm at the office. I have a list of to-dos or things that I need to follow up on when I'm talking with Megan, or Ben will have a sheet, or Franz will have a sheet, where basically I'll have under each person, here are all the things that I need to follow up on. So that way, when I'm with them or I'm in that situation, I can grab that to-do list that is specific with that. So maybe you've got a set of phone calls that you need to make, and you create a list of, here are all the phone calls that I need to make, and you have that list, so you start to chunk stuff together. You might have half an hour free, and instead of breaking your day up, making phone call here and phone call there, you go, right, this is the section where I'm going to be making phone calls, and you power through 10 phone calls, and it's a lot more efficient to do it that way. So I create these to-do lists, and I'm an absolute list maniac. I've just got lists everywhere and handwritten notes, and it's a system that I do to know I get it out of my head, so I don't have to think about it, and then I can come up with these new fantastic ideas, and then I can process that information later. I'll scribble it down. Usually I've got a couple of different stages. I'll have notepads next to my bed. I've got that notepad. I've got notepads in the car, and I'll scribble down on the notepads whenever something pops into my mind. Then I'll rip that piece of paper off. Then when I get to the office, I have like a to sort pile, and these are all of just my little scraps of paper. It looks a little bit little bit like a crazy person because they're just these scribbled notes, but then I'll take those and I'll process them and I'll start to do things like I'll try and put it into my calendar where it's a particular thing that I need to follow up on a specific day, or I'll add it to the to-do list that is associated to the different person. And remember, the milk is good because you don't have to rewrite things. When I do my to-do list, I'm constantly finding I'm rewriting it. But even though I tried to do Remember the Milk and I've used it for a long time, I kind of use it. There's something about writing for me and just having it written down. So my actual to-do lists, I do that.